Foundation. He is the campaign chairman for the V Foundation, also on the board of directors, and longtime ESPN president, and a wonderful colleague to many of us. That's George on the far right there. To his left, if you've watched ESPN any time over the last several decades, you've surely seen the great work of Chris Fowler, who's worked on many of the biggest events in sports. Currently, he's the face of ESPN's tennis coverage and college football, calls some of the biggest stuff we've ever done, and is an award-winning, industry-leading voice for sports media. Of course, the man in the middle needs no introduction. We're going to hear from him in a minute. Dabo Swinney is the national championship coach of Clemson football, and one of tonight's honorees, along with Chris Fowler. I should have said earlier, Chris is one of our honorees tonight as well. And Avery Johnson, longtime college and professional basketball coach, also one of our honorees. And before I throw to Dick, I just want to acknowledge that everybody here actually has an ESPN connection. I mentioned George and Chris, obviously, and Dick. Dabo is his game, the Clemson victory in this year's championship game, remains the highest rated television program of the year, and it happened to be on ESPN, so thank you, Coach. And I think in between some stints of coaching, Avery Johnson worked a little bit for ESPN. We remember that too. So thank you all for coming. And without further ado, Mr. Dick Vitale.
Oh, thank you, Josh. Wow. So you beautiful young kids sitting here. Let me just say this, Dabo, before we get into this. You broke my family's heart, and you broke my heart. Because I was at that championship game, and my family, there are 7 degrees from Notre Dame. 7. My daughters are double domers. There were athletes there. Their husbands. One played quarterback at Notre Dame, is now a judge. The other one was a lacrosse star. They gave me an honorary alum degree. I had my Notre Dame stuff on. I'm sitting in this box, on a 50-yard line. And the first quarter was great. We said, we got a chance. And then all of a sudden, this kid Lawrence, and it's over, baby. It's done. I tell you. But you've done a great job. And I really appreciate all these guys up here in this table. My boss, way to the right, George Bodenheim, I can't tell you enough how much I love that man. We go back a long way. He started at ESPN in 1981. I started in 79. He was you ready for this? He was my wife told me not to say this, but I got to always say it. He was my driver. He was my driver. And man, he became the boss. He gave me the greatest compliment I've ever received in my life. Is when I was inducted into the Sportscasters Hall of Fame, he presented me. And he said, Dick Vitale treated me like royalty when I was no one. And he's treating me the same way now as the president and CEO. And the reason I said it's the greatest, growing up as a kid, my mother and my father were uneducated. They were 5th grade, but they had a doctorate of love. And I would hear every day at my dinner table, never Dick, it was Richie. Richie, be good to people, and people to be good to you. And I know my mother would have loved to have heard that comment. This guy right here, we go back a long way. He whipped my butt big time on a tennis court. He came to my house to interview my daughters, and I guess it was like 1987, maybe? 87. My God, I knew then, this is the truth, told my wife, this guy's got that special talent. He's going places. He just has. He's got that little abrasiveness at times. He's not afraid to, he's got that edge he creates. And today, he's a multi-millionaire. By the way, by the way, I'm going to hit you up for a big donation. And then we got Dabo. I mean, come on. 2 championships, not 1. Let me tell you this. I read what your contract was, $93 million. Let me tell you this, that you're underpaid. If you would have had me as your agent, I'd get you $15 million a year. Are you kidding me? Nobody gives you $9.3 million unless they're making $20 million off you. So bottom line is you deserve more. And my guy Avery just walked out. But Avery, special guy. Avery, just a special guy. He's won. Let me tell you about Avery. He won big as a player, came into the league in the NBA and was basically not drafted, played 16 years in the NBA, led the league in assists for several years. He was NBA Coach of the Year at one time. He got let go at Alabama, and they made a major mistake. Not that the guy they hired isn't any good. This guy, if they were at a time, great personality and just a beautiful guy. And let me tell you, you find out a lot about people when things don't go well, and he has been unbelievable in handling adversity. And now here, my favorite people, right here in front of me. This is what tonight's about. champions. I look here, I see little Joshua, my guy right there. I see Enzo, I see Weston, I see Sadie, I see Emily Ayers, I see all your little Cannon, all you guys gathered here. I can't tell you how much we love you, and that's why we're here. And some of the things you've done, I know Dabo being a great coach and Chris being a terrific announcer, love people that are champions. You're champions. Any kid that does 1,200 doses of chemotherapy in a 3-year period and looks like you do right now, smiling, et cetera. Stand up a minute, Joshua. I'm a man. Let me tell you this. They wanted to recruit this kid. Jim Harbaugh had him on the field with the Michigan team. Then Urban was here, and Urban said, "And no way you're wearing that Michigan uniform. You're going to wear an Ohio State one." And then Brian Kelly told you what, coming to Notre Dame. And we went down for the Notre Dame Southern Cal game, had you in the locker room on the field, and now he's an Irish guy. But this guy might recruit you for
He
Clemson.
already told me he's coming to protect the Paul, so it's over.
I see Weston sitting here, Mr. Herman. This guy, you can say, Joshua, Weston had 2 brain surgeries, just as courageous as can be, and just a great young guy. And I'll tell you this about him. His dad and mom came up to me in a restaurant. I was sitting in a restaurant, my buddy and I and my wife at Capitol Grill, and they came over and see my dad, Jared, and his wife came over, Amy, and they said, "You know, thank you for what you're doing, because really it affects our family. My son has brain cancer." And I said, "Well, join us." She joined us. And they told us a little bit about what they were facing. And we went in a car, my wife and I, we got in the car, and I said, "Call my buddy up, John Cooper of the Lightning," because they showed me a video. They showed me a video. You should see this guy play hockey. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was watching. And all of a sudden, I called up John Cooper on the phone, and the coach of the Lightning said, "John, you got to do me a favor. Get me a Lightning shirt with his name on." And John being just a guy that gets it. Unfortunately, a lot of people in sports world who are stars, they don't get it. I hate to say that, they don't get it. But he gets it. And he said, "Are you kidding me? Shirt? That's not going to work." He said, "Bring him down. Let him skate with my team before one of our games. I'll have him skate at the 12 p.m. skate around in the afternoon." And he did, and he's just a terrific lad. Cole Eicher. Where's my man Cole? Cole's now, what, 16, 17? Brain cancer. You know what this guy does? Raises money like crazy to help other kids. I mean, I could go on and on. We are looking at Najari, my man. You told me last time you're going to go on school. This guy's going to Florida, and what he's done with his life is unreal. Vocal cord surgery when he was a young kid. It became autoimmune disease, had to battle that. Nothing stopped him. Became an accomplished big-time swimmer. He became just outstanding in every way. And correct me if I'm wrong, but then you formed the pajama packages where you loaded up all kinds of books and gifts for kids and gave out over 4,000 to kids across the different hospitals, helping others. And now he just committed to go to the University of Florida. So he'll be a Gator. And then we got, I look here, my guy Jake sitting next to him. He wants to give me a check tonight. I know he's someone to give me a check. Jake was told at age 2 or 3, Chris, he would never ever walk and most likely might not live. Neuroblastoma, really unbelievably. I can't say enough about this guy. I just put a great recommendation for you with the Bucks, and they're very interested in hiring you. He's graduated college, played baseball in college, and he's been with us for years, and just a terrific young guy, showing the dollars work. Dollars work. It's unbelievable. In readmission, where's Sadie? Where's Sadie Keller? There's Sadie. Sadie does Sadie's sleigh. Unbelievable what she does. She, how many thousand this year did you give away toys? 13,000. Her situation happened. She was in a hospital at her young age, about 8 or 9 at the time. She saw during Christmas all the kids in the hospital, and she said to her mother, "God, got to make these kids happy. I'm going to do something." And she went out and got a bunch of toys. And she started a campaign that became national. It became national all over ESPN. And then she was invited to the White House. And she was at the White House as well. Keep doing it. And, I mean, all you kids here, my agent sitting back there, Susan, her son, I visited him at the hospital. He's in remission now, doing great jobs. Jared, where's Jared sitting? Oh, there he is, right there. Okay, Jared. I see all you guys. I mean, I know I'm going to forget some kids here, but believe me, in my heart, you're all there. And I thank all of you. Colton Corney, where's Colton? There you are right there. He presented me. That was a beautiful thing. You came and presented me at the restaurant. All my sayings. He made a big thing, like a plaque up with all my sayings. I can't thank you enough, and I really say this from the bottom of my heart, and it crushes me right now, closing before I turn it over to these guys. Where's Andy Kettler and his wife, Kim? I know that we're here. Well, Andy and Kim, will you stand a minute? Andy and Kim, special people. He is the physical fitness strength coach at the University of Louisville. I went to do a Louisville game, I don't know if it was Duke, Florida State game, and Bob Valvano, Jimmy's brother, came up to me and said, Dick, I know you're really involved in pediatric is big time. He said, I really want you to try and inspire or talk a little bit to a family here who's gone through hell. My God, I saw the picture. Last night we had dinner for about 40, 50 of us that were here early, and we passed around your story to everyone. And I looked at your gorgeous son, and it just broke my heart. I can't even imagine, as you said, the pain doesn't go away. He had a son, Jackson, just a beautiful looking kid. If you ever get a chance, go to his website. What is the website again, Andy? Jackson's Journey, but it's spelled Jaxen, right? Jackson's Journey. Take a look at that. And any coach loses a game, and anybody who thinks they have it tough, what they went through is unreal. Beautiful kid living a normal life. He fell, hit his head, went to the doctors. They thought it was a slight concussion. He deals with injuries all the time. No big deal. Concussion, he'll get better from that. Came home, started throwing up, go back, do a CAT scan, and they found out he had brain cancer. And not only did he have brain cancer, there are 3 forms of brain cancer that they have not found a cure for. One being DIPG, it's just no one's ever beaten it. And the one I can't even pronounce is what is it? Pineoblastoma, and that's another deadly one, and they lost his life. And they're here because they want to help other people. And to me, in summarizing this, what really gets me and brings me to tears many times, I can't tell you how much I love all of you. Because you can't do enough to help others. That blows my mind, how you can't do enough to raise money because you don't want kids to suffer like many of you suffered. That's unreal. As we sit today, if anybody here thinks they had a tough, I had a guy today at lunch talking about the stock market yesterday went down big, and he's bitching and moaning. I said, excuse me, man, I don't want to hear that. I said, you know that today, as we're sitting here, 45 to 50 moms and dads go home tonight and their life is changed, because the doctor echoed 4 words: your child has cancer. And it's life-changing. You ask any of these parents, can't work, can't do anything other than thinking, what am I going to do with my child? Going for his chemo, his radiation. And I salute all of you. I say all courageous because you are all courageous. Every one of the moms, dads, the people here, you are special. God bless. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Dick. Appreciate those words, and certainly a warm-up for the dinner. I know you like to say some things early on during the press conference every year, and then you have a whole nother rendition on stage, which is amazing, and we'll look forward to that. We're going to ask George to say a few words on behalf of the V Foundation, and Coach Sweeney will ask you to speak next. George.
Thank you, Josh. Great to be here, and just to see the passion that Dick has. It's humbling, and it's proud to call you a friend. I've been lucky to call Dick a colleague for nearly 40 years at ESPN, and I guess another 20 now at the V Foundation. So we've been associated with each other for a long time, and I can assure you that he brings the same qualities to both organizations, and you can see why he's excelled at everything he's done. And Dick was with the earliest days of ESPN, and he one of the things that made him famous was all of his superlatives, from primetime player to awesome baby, and so on and so on. But I was thinking about it today, Dick. Every one of the superlatives that you've used over the years to describe world-class athletes describes your efforts to help people and help people that are less fortunate. It's really true. really proud to be here to represent the V Foundation. I'm proud of what ESPN has done with the V Foundation. We started it in 1993, 26 years ago, and we've awarded over $225 million to the cancer centers throughout our wonderful country. And one of the unique things about the V is that we support all different sorts of research. We're not involved in just prostate cancer or just brain cancer or breast cancer. We're across the whole gamut because we have a world-class group of doctors, several of whom are here this evening. And we raise the money, and the doctors decide where the best research is, the finest world-class research being done in this country. But when Dick identified that there was not enough being done for pediatric cancer, he obviously took it on as a mantle here. And both he and Lorraine, his wife Lorraine, have done over 14 years, raising nearly $30 million for pediatric cancer research. He drives the pediatric cancer portion of the V Foundation, and for that we're eternally grateful. And it's wonderful to be here with you, Dick, and to share this podium with these other gentlemen here. And let's have a great night tonight. But thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you very much, George. Coach Sweeney, we're very happy to have you here and honored for you to be one of our honorees. If you wouldn't mind saying a few words, and then we'll ask Chris to speak. Coach?
Yeah, well, I would echo what he just said. I'm honored to be here and to be able to just support the V Foundation. I've always wanted to meet Coach Vitale, and he came and did a Clemson game about a year ago, and Tim Beret got me somehow hooked into going on air with him. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I always wanted to be a diaper dandy. I'm a big basketball guy, never quite made it, but
You're not a diaper dandy, man. You're a prime-time performer. Solid gold in every way.
But so anyway, that was a really cool thing. But right out of the gate, he started talking to me about this event, and in between our conversation, and then you know, it's one of those things. We talked about it, and I'm like, well, you know, probably won't hear from him again. The next day, any of y'all, you know, I'm just getting to know him. Relentless is probably too gentle of a word. Relentless and passionate about what he does, both in his career and his personal life, and especially the mission of this foundation. And I have felt that. I felt like this was coming next week for a year. You know, the intensity that has gone into and the effort that has been put forth to make this an unbelievable event. And it's not, I've never felt like it's, sometimes you have events where you feel like maybe people go through the motions. This is pure passion at work. And it's a calling, it's a God calling. And certainly, you know, a lot of people are going to remember a lot of his comments over the years, but this will be a legacy that will be eternal. And you young people here, what a blessing you are. And you are champions. And what you represent and the inspiration and hope that you give so many other you know, kids out there, it's awesome. So I would challenge y'all to continue to use your platform to bless others. Continue to use your platform. Unfortunately, I am very familiar with cancer, and I guess I'm going to talk tonight. I'll say a few words about that. I've been impacted deeply. In fact, my wife had a double mastectomy back in '05, and it was through the loss of her sister at 49 years of age that we feel like she's still with us to this day and has been able to be a mother to my 3 children, because we found out through research, and through research all this knowledge has come about. And so it's so important because research matters, and it takes money to do research. So I'm honored to be here, to be a part of it, to celebrate y'all, and to you know, just give. I've been incredibly blessed. My life, and again, my journey. I lost my father to cancer 4 years ago this August. I have seen it on all sides, and with my job, I see it every day. Every day. There was a 12-year-old in Columbia who passed away about a month ago that I had the opportunity, just through my job, just my role. He was a Clemson, you know, fan, and just trying to put a smile on their face, or just embrace their parents, and in a small way. but this is massive. And, you know, just really excited about the evening and looking forward to raising a bunch of money and setting the record tonight, best ever. That's the goal. And, you know, thank you for the invitation to be a part of it.
Thanks very much, Coach. I will say those of us who know Dick best are surprised it actually took him 24 hours to call you. But anyway, Chris.
Thank you, Josh. I've had the privilege of being here a few years, and these folks in the front row are why I always leave here feeling stronger. I feel like my soul has been nourished, and I feel like I've got a fresh dose of inspiration to take on whatever life throws at you. You leave here wanting to do more, to commit more deeply, to try to, in some minor way, mimic the passion that Dick has for this cause. And I think that I'll leave here the same way tonight because of their example. Cole just walked out, but he's a guy that I've gotten to know over a couple of years, and we share the same soccer team that we support. He's given up soccer to play golf. That's a tragic mistake, but no, I think it's a wonderful example what the Dick and Lorraine set. It's humbling to be an honoree here. I don't think it's deserved, but I'm here to do what I can, and I think that all of us have been touched by cancer. Dabo's story is a tough one. Cancer came to my family's dining room when I was 14, and my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer. It was long before the V Foundation and other organizations focused enough on cancer. There was a curtain was pulled, and cancer was hidden behind it, and the commitment wasn't there. And had there been the work of this foundation over the last 30, 40 years, maybe his diagnosis would have been different, and we'd still have him. But I learned lessons from him because he never lost a battle to cancer. You don't lose a battle to cancer when you die. You don't lose if you keep fighting. And you don't lose if you keep living with the same spirit and passion, drawing strength from those around you, giving strength back to them. I have a special feeling for the parents and the loved ones of these folks in front, because I think often these guys, rightfully so, are the focus of the attention and the resources. This organization does a tremendous job supporting the families and the loved ones who are sometimes the brothers and sisters, sometimes the forgotten ones in all this, because I know the torture they go through. So again, to do a small part to help this cause is humbling. I have known Dick for 32 years. There was no way I was going to lose that tennis match you talked about. I was 24 years old. I'm not going to lose it. I mean, Dick was a lot younger than I am now when we play, but I would have heard about that every day in the air, every single time. We're 15 years together. He would have brought that up every time had I lost. So I won't mention what the set score was, but it did not go to a tiebreak.
No, it was 6-2, 6-1.
I don't remember it quite that close, but if you say so, Dick, it's your night, I'll yield to that. But no, the friendship, the value to me, what he's meant to my life and my career is immeasurable, and to do a small thing, to be here tonight is the least I can do. And Dick, I love you.
I love you, buddy.
Coach Johnson, you've been an inspiration as a player and coach, as a leader, and we're really honored to honor you tonight. Thank you for coming. If you wouldn't mind saying a few words.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm really honored to be here. I'm blown away already. This is my first year here at this event, and to be here with Dabo, a man who I respect so much, not only his work on the football field, but his character, his walk with God, his great example that he sets for so many coaches, not only coaches that are in the profession, but aspiring coaches. Dick Vitale, I'll get back to Dick in a minute. Chris Fowler, a legend. I'm a big tennis fan. I took my family to the 2012 Olympics, and we had a chance to see Serena and Venus win the gold medal at Wilmington, and it was a great event, and I've been a fan of Chris for a long time, and I used to work for George back in 2008, my first stint with ESPN, and he rescued a coach that got fired from the Mavericks and gave me an opportunity to go on TV for 2 years, and then I went back again, and I just love ESPN and love when we were all colleagues. But back in 1999, when we won our first championship with the San Antonio Spurs, the public address announcer would introduce the starting five. And the way he would introduce the starting five, he started off by saying, starting at forward, 6'10" out of Wake Forest, in his second year, Tim Duncan, and the crowd would go crazy. And then he said, starting at the other forward, 6'7" out of Arizona, Sean Elliott, and the crowd would go crazy. He said, at guard, 6'5" out of American University, Mario Elie, and the crowd would go crazy. And then he said, the little general out of Southern University, 5'11", and the crowd would go crazy. But then he said something that blew me away. And he said, and the man in the middle, 7'1", out of the U.S. Naval Academy, David Robinson, and the roof would explode in the Alamo Dome. And what I want to say about Dick Vitale is he's the man in the middle. He's the man in the middle. And that's why I'm here. He came and approached me before we played the Florida Gators when I was coaching Alabama. And he basically walked into my coach's locker room in tears. And I was wondering what's going on. This is before the game. He was in tears. He was really emotional. And he shared his passion for the V Foundation and pediatric cancer and research. And he shared with me that Chris Fowler and Dabo Sweeney were going to be honored. And he wanted me to be a part of it. And I just couldn't say no. And for the last year, my wife would ask me, who's texting you? Who's texting you? I said, well, it's Dick Vitale, honey. It's Dick Vitale. Because I'm always looking at my phone because he texts me 5 times a day. But Dick, I just want to thank you as the man in the middle for the V Foundation and all of the great work. You are doing an amazing job. I'm so honored to be a part of this. I think I'm going to go back to my room and get a handkerchief because I think I'm going to be crying all night tonight. But just thank you for your great work. I wasn't a PTPer when I was in high school. I was the 14th man on a 14-member team. They used to call me Little 30 because they would only put me in the game when we were up by 30 points. But I feel like a PTPer tonight. And to all of the young people that are here, you're an inspiration. You are walking in my church. It's called the testimony. You are a testimony. You've been through a test, and you're inspiring us. And to all of the parents, all of the sleepless nights, the care, the leadership, the love. I have 2 kids, so I just want to just thank you for inspiring us. And again, I'm honored to be here tonight. God bless you all. Thank you.
Dick, I think, had something else he wants to add.
I just want to say this about Avery. He wasn't here when I was talking earlier, had to go out and do an interview. Avery is finding what a man is really about is when they have to deal with adversity. Avery was let go at Alabama, and I called you up that same day. I had read it. Remember, we got on the phone? I read that, and it bothered me because I didn't think he was given a fair shot. He was a game or 2 away from going to the NCAA tournament at a school that is known and is a power in football. And I think with due time, he would have done a great job and got them where they wanted to go. But you find out about a guy. He said to me, Dick, I'm going to be fine. I appreciate so much your calling. You know, that's the way of life. He didn't blame anybody. He didn't moan. You kids and people out there, we all go through adversity. We all have a little bumps and bruises. I don't care who you are. I mean, Dabo just told you as great as it's going for him with 2 national championships. He goes home to a wife that's battling cancer. It's not easy. Not easy. Chris has had some blows in his life. I lost my eye as a kid. I thought it was the end of the world. End of the world. My mother would say all the time, never believe in can't. You could be what you want, Richie. You could be what you want. Then I got fired by the Pistons. I mean, my career was on an explosive track. 1970, I'm teaching the 6th grade, coaching in high school. 7 years later, I'm center court coaching against the Celtics and the Lakers, and in between that, coached as a lot of people don't know this, I was the youngest athletic director and coach in the country at the University of Detroit in my 30s because they were trying to do that to keep me at the university, not to look anywhere else. But my career was going like you can't believe it. And November 8, 1979, I'll never forget the day, my wife said to me when I got a phone call from the secretary. She says, before you come to practice today at the shoot-around, Mr. Davidson, the owner, wants to come and talk to you. And my wife says, you're getting fired. I said, you're out of your mind, getting fired. 10 games into the season, we were breaking records in attendance. No way I'm getting fired. So I heard you talk to the owner last night. You can't talk. Well, I had a conversation with him, and I told him the night before, I says, you know, I could coach till I'm blue in the face. I could coach till I'm blue. We can't beat Kareem and the Lakers. We can't beat Dr. J and the Sixers. We need to go and get people and players. It's just not working. Mr. Davidson, it's not working. He was beautiful to me, though. He really was. He said, Dick, we know it's going to take 5 years. I had no patience. All my life, I've won immediately. High school, went to a football school. We won 2 state championships right away. Then I go to college at Rutgers, and we recruit a class that is the best maybe in the country. A lot of people don't know this. 1976, rather, the Final Four was UCLA, Michigan, Indiana, and Rutgers. And then I go to the University of Detroit, and we go to the NCAA tournament, first time in the history of the school. We go to Sweet 16. We beat the likes of Michigans and Michigan States. And my career is just exploding. And then all of a sudden you sit there, you know what? Young people, I found out a lot, Dabo. You know what I found out, and I used it in life? People who I thought were my friends, calling people up, no return phone calls, none. When I was on the fast track, anybody you call. Now on ESPN, I call people, you can call back immediately for the last 40 years. But in that period, I didn't. You have 2 choices when things get tough. You can quit, you can roll over, or you look in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm gonna go out with my life and do something in a positive way. And I look today as George and those guys hired me at ESPN. Did the very first, I go to my grave, nobody can take this away from me. I did the very first game in the history of ESPN, the Paula, Wisconsin. And that was on December 5, 1979. And if you'd have told me I'm sitting here for 40 years doing games, and see, my boss is supposed to be bright. He's an intelligent guy with a great academic background. They're really dummies. Because if they knew something, I'd do this sucker for nothing. Never mind get paid. So I wish all of you luck. And remember this. Avery brought it up about tears. Dabo talked and Chris. 3 things are going to be achieved here tonight. And that was the theory and the philosophy of Jimmy Valvano. In his moving speech, he said, every day of your life should be moved to tears, moved to laughter, and moved to thought. I will guarantee you tonight in that room, there will be tears, there'll be laughter, and there'll be thought. And I close with one other statement. A young woman's going to be in a crowd tonight. She suffered the ultimate pain just like the Kettlers suffered. They lost a little girl. And she asked me if she could speak here a couple of years ago. And I said, you sure, Holly, you can speak? I know the pain you felt. No, I want to speak, Dick. And she got up and told the coaches. And I remember that night the room was filled with Calipari's and Bill Selfs and Izzos and all these guys. And she said to the coaches, Dabo, she said to all the coaches, do you know, you coaches, you lose a game, you think it's the end of the world. And it should be to you. That's your living. That's what you do. But you know what, coaches? You're going to get another game to coach. I am never, ever going to get to coach my little girl again. My God, I looked all over the room. I think Teddy Chesney was here that night too. And I see tears rolling down people's faces. I mean, there's a woman, lost her child, talking about the pain she went through. And that's why we're here tonight. We're here tonight to minimize from that happening. And my goal tonight, it would be not the national championship like he had, my national championship will be tonight as they're running numbers to me at my table during the course of the night. If it gets to $4 million, I will jump with joy. Because I never, my wildest dreams ever thought that would ever happen. But we're that close. And you know where it could happen? I need one thing to happen tonight for it to happen. If we match what we did last year with the auction items and with the raisin and paddle, just match, we'll be over $4 million. But we got to match it. So pray for us, hope, and we're going to get it done. God bless all.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you to all of our honorees and speakers. We're going to allow the media the opportunity to speak to any of our speakers here, but first we're going to take a few photos, if that's okay. Chris just had to do a quick live television hit, so Dick, we're going to ask you and the All Courageous team to come on up. We'll do pictures right in front of the table. Our other honorees can step us